So from Watson Lake, Yukon, back down to Prince George, and now working once again for the North Netherlands overseas mill. You started there as a forklift worker, and then you gradually worked your way up, but what were you doing this time?
So when I came back from Watson Lake and I talked to the manager of Watson Lake, John Whitmer, made a deal with him that he acquired my motel, Jack or Signpost Motel, for $1. He promised me a job driving forklift truck at Netherlands Overseas. At least I was out of that environment, and because we now had a family, a new daughter, and I didn't have the fear of not being there for them, obviously, and. So then when I started driving forklift truck, for a number of months, it didn't take very long, and then something happened in the office where they were short on somebody that could do cost accounting for them, and I had done that before, and so I became a cost accountant, and and then took another. It was 1972, and then I did that for probably for a year or a little bit longer, and then. The sales manager had a heart attack, and I did then, sales as a sales manager. I worked then in the office as a sales manager, and then in early 1975, I had started to work on where do I go from here, in terms of my dream of owning my own mill. Obviously, my venture in Watson Lake had not really worked out well. The people that had the mill there, and I was managing it, to stay there for 5 years. Our ideas and my ideas were different.
Yes.
I wanted to build a mill and really build on it, invest in it. They didn't. And so, then I already owned a motel, and then decided, no, better for me, because of the circumstances, to leave.
Right.
And so, but I was back to square one in terms of my mill plans.
Yes.
That meant, okay, John, you want to do something, you have to have an idea that works. You have to find a niche in the marketplace. What does that look like?
Right.
And where do you go from here? Now, I didn't have any money, so that didn't help things either. And I then started to work on a business plan for Brink Forest Products. And Brink Forest Products would become a lumber remanufacturer.
Right.
What does that mean? Well, what that means is that, again, going back to what the lumber looks like, if you look at a digest of lumber manufactured by a mill, there is a lot of high grade, and then a percentage of medium grade, if you wish, and then low grades. The lower grades is lumber that have defects not suitable for structures of any sort. It was that portion of lumber that I wanted to acquire and then cut up into taking the defects out and making it into products that I could sell in the marketplace and develop a business around that. Now, a lot of people had tried that and not successfully. But I had been exposed, again, the benefit of my background in Holland, working for a large company in a critical area. And then when I was 15, I started, late 14 actually, I started working in a furniture factory, and then became a furniture maker, combined with all the other experience, gave me an edge over others.
Of course.
Where I could see doing things that other people had not looked at. I had been exposed to finger jointing for one. And and one of the problems was with the low grade remanufacturing. In the process, you made higher grades, but you ended up with a lot of short pieces. And what I did with that, I took the shorter pieces, glued those back together again in a plan. So I had to then develop a process, find a plant, and then find a bank that would help me in financing all of this. So I put the business plan together. I still have it today, actually, and uncannily, I had some of my people look at it, and it said, I'm still on course from that particular plan, 45 years ago. When I started in 1975, it's still very much alive today. And so I the problem that I had a plan, a good plan that made sense and had possibility. I had thought of everything in terms of the layout, in terms of the marketing, in terms of the equipment, in terms of how it would work, and showing that I had experience. What I didn't have is equity. So, okay, what are you going to put into the, okay, you want from us this, what are you going to put into it?
Right.
So that's always the question, right? So I dropped off my business plan at every single bank in town, every single one of them. And no surprise, everyone turned me down, except a couple of them were lukewarm, and so I kept going back to them and saying, I want to make sure that knowing that I have to upgrade the business plan, and I did that, and then finally I ended up with the Royal Bank, and and still here on Victoria, the main branch, and I kept going back to them and saying, and not pushing too hard, but being careful about it, and so. How can I kind of upgrade it, and how about here, and how about there? And they're probably for the 12th or 15th time I'm at the bank, always making carefully changes and adding to it, and other contacts that I had made. And, and again, I went to the loan offices that were looking at it, and he said, okay, let me have a talk to John, the manager, the general manager of the bank, and his name is John Weems. He's still here, The other day I saw him at the barber, actually, and he said, "Oh my God," So anyway, and he was sitting. If you've been in the Royal Bank, they didn't have the second or third floor. It was all different then. You had the general manager sitting in the far corner area, and the walls were kind of the petitions. And so I'm sitting there, I'm nervous, obviously, waiting for I had no expectations. I had to keep going and do more.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden I hear, "Give him the money, give him the money, give him the money."
Oh my gosh, and you were doing...
I could hear it all the way from 3-4 things away. And so I was sitting there in the days, and there he comes, and he said, and he even felt like that. He said, "You got it." What did I want? $25,000 to start Brink Forest Products. And why didn't you try to get somebody else to invest? Because nobody wanted to invest because it was not possible. And a lot of people had tried it, they couldn't succeed with it. The secret that I had, though, is finger jointing that would complement my process. That was the weak point in remanufacturing, other than the obvious that I have lots of experience. I worked with my hands, I worked the office, I knew how to interact with the marketplace because I had experience in marketing, I had experience in accounting, and I had hands-on, and I had boundless energy, and determination.
Well, you must have, after being rejected. How many times did you get rejected by the banks?
Oh, about 20 times or so.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And you still kept going.
Oh, absolutely. So in any event, so then, I had it. Then I leased the property, from an old planer mill that was sitting in the CN site, actually on the same footprint that I'm at now, and and then from there, and then with 3 individuals, I started the plant. Now, the other thing I should add to it, now I had to find a finger jointer, so I found one in, of all places, Warroad, Minnesota.
Oh, wow.
Where is it?
Yeah.
And, so you have to fly into Winnipeg, get a car, drive across the border into Minnesota, and then if you turn east and go an hour or 2, then don't drive too fast, because just before you go over the deep end, there's Warroad, Minnesota. Oh. And there is a plant there that makes windows. Still, a company that's in existence is Marvin Windows. And so I went down there and I said to them, "You have this finger jointer for sale, and I'm interested in buying." I already called them on the phone, and he said, yeah. I said, "Where is it?" He said, "Well, there, somewhere." And so I crawled around, and where all the boneyard is, they call it, and God knows all about this there, and crawled around, and there's the finger joint.
Oh.
So fairly large, but
Yeah.
that's what it was. So I bought it from them, and then we hauled it to Prince George and
Wow.
and started gluing short pieces together.
Oh my goodness. I have to ask though, when this is going back to when you got the loan, how did it feel to finally have the money?
Well, my wife was with me in the car. She was waiting outside, and then I got into the car and I said, I got the money. And I said, what do I do now? I knew what I was going to do, but it was not to say that it was a shock in a way. And all of a sudden, I had the money, and then so I started operating it. I hired 3 people, and and then I did everything. Fixing things, driving forklift truck, banking, going, selling product, and doing all the things. I used to be greased from top to bottom.
Oh.
And and that's what I did, and
I was wondering, could you explain what finger jointing is and what it's used for?
Yeah, in our particular case, what we did, you can take longer or shorter pieces together.
Right.
You cut, for all intents and purposes, fingers in that. You lay a layer of glue on both sides on the fingers, and then you put it together.
Perfect.
And then it becomes a solid piece.
Okay.
Then we do testing of that joint, making sure that it is true, and then it is used in different applications. In our case, we make studs. They are a vertical application, but they also make it structural. And then the type of glue is different and the applications are different. It's used more and more, where now we have buildings built out of wood, and they use CLT, which is cross-laminated timber.
Okay.
Where they take wood this way, that way, this way, glue it together. The building right across from the Ramada in Prince George is, CLT building, cross-laminated timber. It's one of the first ones in the province, but where buildings now go up to 20, 30, 40 stories high.
Now, you attributed this finger jointing method to, back in the Netherlands. That's where you learned it. I want to, you were really a jack of all trades. While you were developing your business plan, you were also, like you said, in accounting, working your way here, but learning so many skills. Now, I don't want to spoil the next chapter at all, but you were really a jack of all trades, and I think that goes into, knowing your business as a whole and the importance of that.
No question about it. The advantage that I had is that I had broad exposure, to my trade. And to understanding I'm good at working with my hands. Obviously, this brings me back to ADHD. I was not very good. It was not that I had mental issues. That's why. No, I was simply not a person that learns well in a structured environment. And that really is the case. And people are more and more knowledgeable about that, but not even to the extent that there is still stigma attached to it. I hope our next book will also deal with that much more in terms of what the benefits are. In fact, they are huge. Is that I was good at those areas in terms of learning things that other people didn't do. And so that when I started working in my operation, all those areas that were important for me, I was very good at. And I still do that today. And it is, again, what is education? Education is suitable to individuals. Not all individuals are the same, that are able to hold that attention towards acquiring certain skill sets or knowledge that they enjoy. And just like I said, all persons are not the same. So my benefit was that I'm very good in those areas, operations areas, and in understanding it. But at the same time, having multiple skills. Like now, most of the negotiations, we do a lot of acquisitions of companies. I'm usually the one that does most of the acquisitions in terms of negotiations, and I'm very good at that. So even with my grade 7, I'm fairly successful at it.
There you go. Right? Education can continue even if it's not in the school format, for sure.
Case in point.
Yeah. Awesome.
Absolutely, no question about it.
Perfect. Well, I look forward to chatting a bit more about Against All Odds in Chapter 4.
Excellent.